Good day, everybody. Today's video, got this fancy JL here. Gonna do a repair on. What's happened is that we got a Poison Spyder swing out tire carrier here, and this is the license plate mount. And company in Calgary that installed it sent it out this way. And we're all camping. In the last video, I kind of talked about it, but I'm going to remove the license plate, take this piece out or the screw out, and I'm going to show you what I think, in my opinion, is a bad design here and what I'm going to do to fix it so that it sits flush and it's not going to move around. So we had this off last weekend, so I'll be able to put my finger behind it and loosen it. But the problem is you got these rivet nuts right here. And as you can see, we already got some corrosion. When you get some corrosion and you put too much torque on them, they start to spin. But this one right here was screwed up from the very start. I don't know if they over tightened it, but you'll see turns from it.
Exactly.
That's the fighting right to the bitter end. There we go, I see now. As you can see, the riv nut is spinning and you can see the corrosion. I mean, the design itself was pretty smart because they got these tabs in there. And then these tabs correspond with this plate to try to keep it straight. But because of the weight of the license plate mount and everything else, it puts a lot of tension on there. But we're gonna grind this off. We're gonna weld the 1/4 inch nut on the back side there. So I just need to take these two pieces out. So I got this riv nut right here. I got my cordless grinder. Gonna very carefully grind that out because you can't drill it out because it's spinning. I guess you could clamp it, but we're gonna grind that off. So this piece is stainless and the rivet nut is gone, so it's flush now. So when that other piece is on, there's not going to be any room for it to flop around. And I'm not going to use a stainless bolted nut because stainless, once it starts to get corrosion, it galls. And that means that if you're out in the bush and the threads start to bind up, well, you're kind of up shit creek. That's why I'm going to use steel. And the best way to weld that in is to put the nut and the bolt together so the threads don't get distorted, and then weld it up. I'm gonna need to turn the voltage way down, like 16 gauge, and tack welder in place. You think so? So I got this piece put on. Nut is welded at the back. Now over here I put some anti-seize on the threads and anti-seize on the main bolt. I'm hoping, I told her that she'll need to check on the bolt just because of the way this thing's designed, even though it has those grooves to keep it locked. The weight of this thing might work that bolt loose. I do have a spring washer on there that's supposed to help prevent that, but we'll see. Now I'm done. Welded nut on the back using a regular nut, so there's no fancy tools, because we all know how these fasteners like to strip out, and if you got a flat tire, that's not going to end well. So we got a 1/4 inch bolt. This thing is solid now, no more flapping around, all modified. The only thing I had to do was make the little hole a little longer going up so it'll line up with the bolts, but yeah, it turned out pretty good. These GLs are pretty sweet. I'm gonna tell you that right now, they're fancy. I look at the JL, I got my JK way down there, and my lonely TJ right there. 3 generations of Jeeps. So all that being said, Mary Jo's JL is all fixed up with that Poison Spyder swing out tire carrier and the license plate holder. Now, I don't like that design. It might work somewhere down south where you don't suffer any kind of corrosion. Of course, in the Canadian climate, if there's no anti-seize that's put on those nut certs or riv nuts, whatever it was that was used on them, too much torque, like I said, will make them spin. But for the license plate, that was a great design. With having the slots that I could fit in there, I would have probably utilized 2 bolts instead, would have made things a lot simpler. But everybody has their own vision, right? But what does matter is how a local company in Calgary that does aftermarket stuff put it on a Jeep and left it loose like that. I don't know if it was over tightened and the riv nut started spinning, or the nut cert or riv nut was loose from the start. Either way, to me, that is unacceptable. When I noticed it when we were all camping, I said, you know what? Bring it by the house next week. I will fix that up for you. I'll weld a nut on the back. We'll fix that up, and you're not going to have that issue again. Just exactly what happened. So that's why I wanted to do a quick video on that, just to show you guys that sometimes you may need to modify design to make it work better for you. But what's even crazier is that she said she was going to bring me some beer for fixing it up. She went way overboard. Way overboard. Look at this. This is all craft beers. Whole bunch of different kinds. Wow. I'm going to be drinking craft beers forever. Plus, couple cigars brought over to smoke. Wow, that's super nice. So she was really happy about the work I did. So we're gonna have some other JL projects coming up in the future. There's some things she wants to do with her Jeep, and she wants me to help her out. One of them is a big brake kit for JL, so she's gonna order the parts for that, get it done. She wants to put some sort of interior rack inside of her JL. So for those people, there will be some JL mods coming up, but It's gonna be motherfucking beer time right now. All right, time to shut her down. Motherfucking beer time. I got some Bent Pole Northwest IPA. That Poison Spyder tire carrier, bumper, license plate, camera mount is fixed up and on its way. I just told her to keep an eye on it. I did use anti-seize on that bolt so it doesn't seize up, because we live in a climate that if things seize up and you're on the trail and that bolt is seized, well, you could easily snap that 1/4-inch bolt off. Then you're in a lot of trouble. At least this way with some anti-seize, shouldn't have any issues. But for the first little bit, keep an eye on it. If it loosens up, tighten it up. Don't get too crazy and be on your way. I did use a spring washer, so if it does start to get loose, the spring washer should help keep it tight. But that being said, once again, in my opinion, I did not like that design, that the way it's built. I would have been a lot happier if they would have went with a 2-bolt design, something with a welded nut on the back like I did. Those riv nuts or nutserts, whatever you want to call them. I think one's brand name and one's just a thing. Is that they're quick, they're dirty, and they're cheap. But in places where I live, if you don't use anti-seize or if you use too much torque, once they start to spin, as you guys saw in the video, they are pretty much useless. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And once again, I gotta have a sip of this beer. And once again, I'm quite sad that a shop in Calgary, a 4x4 custom shop, actually sent her brand new JL out with that setup, being all loose, looking like ass, and I fixed it up in less than an hour, and she's on her way. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.